QRM Beach Office, Saquarema City, Federative Unit, Rio de Janeiro, National State, Brazil. We'll have our conversation, the content, make our movement. We kind of observe the situation on Ukraine, on Europe. And we are doing the same way the charge against Brazil and peers associated with, considering the systematic fail since 1988 and the segmentation, but things individualized by chairs with specific decisions, orders, and command to sustain a lie. This lie changes the perception of the reality, and the anti-crime research with industrial portfolio on it based on self-defense, legítima defesa, allowed, the strike back by law. It's a guarantee. And one of the consequences of the paper, which indeed is rolling for covert, and it's quantified on 33 trillion as the entire money diverted from public budget Brazil by organized groups with motivation as criminal purpose and associated with international levels very explicitly since 2012. They are in solidarity and under the same segment to be charged. And on Russia, we had the situation there. We will observe that we had this model which was the, overtake the bank system to request information and have another individualization of accounts to be used in case of, causal relation as a deeper level from the paper which indeed are in charge. We will check that Ukraine and Russia kind of had that model. We could observe groups by Venn diagram, and we will have on mind something quite simple. This is the Ukraine. This is the Russia forces. The area of struggle indeed now is coming from the border as frontiers to the center as the capital city of Ukraine. And here we have kind of groups which are the back office, I would say, of Ukraine. This is the general idea of this model. And we will observe that some areas Russia recognized that they are separatist entities. They are not a country, they are not a nation, they are an entity. And indeed they are an entity as separatist movement or intention inside Ukraine, but Ukraine still has sovereignty on it, and Russia they declared interest to recognize them. Now let's suppose that the Ukraine, I will put them here as two balls under the influence of Russia or the association with Russia, despite have the sovereignty as Ukraine yet. Let's suppose that the Ukraine chair number one consider have a huge financial transference for the NATO, the entire money of this nation, and they kind of surrender themselves, putting a Trojan horse strategy with very heavy bubble of credit to be covered inside the Russia as a Trojan horse strategy, because you are saying since from the very beginning that your interest is something like this. And Russia is associated with other element named the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And we have a charge as 33 trillion against Brazil and peers. And one extra block, guess what? With maybe a big guy on Acre, which is an area on north of Brazil, and maybe Miami on South USA. This block is named Mercosul. We will cover this financial bubble because by law, by fiduciary element and dignity, this must be covered. And if you engulf and eat something that is kind of a rotten Italian food, you probably will shit your pants and throw up or give up. Any question? Kia Hemi Bulls. Reality safe for sure. By financial and economic control. All consequences against specific offenders by law. Have a nice weekend.